Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of me driving to work. I am the driver, Darkness 30XX, under the Black Hood Crew on YouTube. Find me BHC underscore Darkness 30XX name down there. Across all other social media, get it out, all other social media, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Steam. I'm on TikTok, bunch of different places. So, by all means, like, subscribe, comment down below, wherever you're watching this, and maybe I'll say it, maybe I won't, but we'll see. All right, so it is another day. It is now November 2nd. Second, right? That one. November 2nd. And I am on my way to work. I am carrying in my back seat a computer that my coworker from this job needed help with. She received it from her other job as their IT department was cleaning house and basically upgrading all of their equipment and going for more slimmer line PCs. We're talking about a Think Center is what I have in the back seat, an M82. Now, if you ever seen these things, they were usually used in like schools, businesses, and things of that nature because of the fact that they could either sit upright or sit flat. And when sat flat, you'd be able to place at least a 17-inch monitor on top. So what would happen is that, you know, the IT department went through cleaning house, upgrading all the hardware. So they asked their local employees if they wanted these computers. Now, they're not anything overly fancy. i3, 4 gig RAM. What made them stand out a little bit was the fact that this particular one that she brought me initially, or showed us at work, was that it had a 250 gigabyte solid state drive. Now that kind of threw us back because normally businesses would not make the call to upgrade the hard drive, which, if you know anything about computers, and even if you don't, I'm going to explain it anyway, but the hard drive is where all your data is stored. Windows is installed there, all your programs, if you use it for home, pictures, videos, what have you. Any kind of data that needs to be stored permanently is stored on the hard drive. Now, a solid state drive as opposed to a regular one is this. A regular drive is literally a stack of disks about this big, stacked on top of each other, and they're basically like rewritable CDs, kind of stacked up on each other. And there's an internal laser locked inside the hard drive, which is usually about this big. And the laser goes back and forth across these disks, depending on the layer and location is where your file is stored. The laser writes the information onto the disk, but it also reads the information. But in order for that to happen, the disks need to move. So if these drives, these old hard drives, were to ever say, oh, and those disks are either cracked or broken, the data is completely lost, irreplaceable, cannot be found, never to be seen again. However, on a solid state drive, there is no spinning disk. There's no moving parts. Think of it as like a big flash drive. You know, USB drives. A solid state drive is just a bigger version of that for the purpose of being storage on your PC. So, back to the story. This 250 gigabyte solid state drive was from SanDisk, and it kind of threw us back, me and my other coworkers who know what we're talking about. And we were like, whoa, like that's kind of high class. Most businesses don't shell out the money for a solid state drive unless it was for specific purposes. In this case, I'm guessing is quick data retrieval, or at least quicker than how it usually is with a regular spinning disk drive. Anyway, she hands this computer off to another coworker of mine who, like me, knows what he's talking about, knows what he's doing. For the sole purpose of basically cleaning it out and installing Windows on it, getting Office on there, and getting it ready for her to use as a personal computer at home. So he does this, comes back the next day, and informs me that while he was working on it, because my other coworker is a huge Linux user. When he put the drive on his Linux OS, he was able to see that there were a lot. We're talking about gigabytes upon gigabytes of files, not just OS files, but other files stored on this drive. Now, given the fact that this was part of a network boot system, we only could surmise that the data stored on this computer was pertaining to the city that this original coworker who brought the PC in, the city that she worked for, or still works for in this particular case. So we figured, okay, it was probably sensitive documents, sensitive files pertaining to the city in question. However, the entire thing was encrypted, making it not impossible, but very difficult and time-consuming to recover this data. He figured, given the legal nature of the documents in question, it would not have been a good idea to start digging around in these confidential files or potentially confidential files. So he does a multiple wipe erasure of the entire drive, multiple layers, and proceeds to install Windows and Office on it. Brings the computer back. This coworker then brings another computer back, saying that this computer was going to go to her sister. But before anybody could get to it, the IT department caught her and said, hey, we need to open this computer real quick. And they took the drive out. Didn't even bother to leave the mounting bracket. They took the entire drive out. I'm guessing, again, because it is sensitive data, that it might potentially be stored on the drive. So she brought it to me this time because she knows I also work in this or know enough to get this functioning. So I get this computer and everything is exactly the same as the last one, i3, 4 gig RAM, but in this case, no hard drive, no solid state. So I told her, because it has no hard drive, you need to purchase a drive. So she asked me to go ahead and find her a drive. I told her I was going to go no less than a solid state, simply because of the high performance factor. Solid state equals just faster computer. So I quickly search Amazon and find her a Western Digital Blue drive for $54. But here's the kicker. It's 500 gigabyte solid state drive. I couldn't believe it. Usually these drives are more expensive. I'm guessing now prices are starting to go down. So I go ahead and let her know, hey, this is a great drive, great company, great price. So she said, that's great. Here's my card. Go ahead and buy it. I told her, not a problem. I'll have it shipped to my house. So as soon as it arrives, I'll have the computer, hard drive, mount it, install Windows, Office, all 9 yards. So since I was gone over the weekend, out of town, the drive arrived on Friday. So it's basically sitting at the house waiting for me to come back. So I wasn't able to yesterday, but today I was able to get into that computer. And sure enough, I go ahead and I already had a Windows 10 boot flash drive, specifically for purposes like this. Popped it in, installed Windows, worked like a charm right away. She gave me a little bit of login information. It was basically grabbing her phone number and having her text me a confirmation code from Microsoft, sign her into to her computer. She now has activated Windows 10 Home. Great. Now we move on to the Office, which, for legal reasons, can't really talk about how I acquired it, but let's just say she has Office activated, and we'll leave it at that. So now I got this computer sitting in my back seat. Open your fucking eyes. I got this computer sitting in the back seat, and I plan on turning it into her. Now, because she's a very good friend of mine, we work very well together, I would never charge her a dime. That's not the type of person I am. If this is, for somebody who I'm very cool with, I promise you my IT services come free of charge. Simple as that. So I'm not charging her a damn thing, but she made the offer of food, which, for anybody that knows me, can never turn down an offer of food. So she has a plan of tonight buying food, have it there in the little office, and we're going to eat. Awesome. So, computer ready to go, Office on Windows ready to go. I did inform her that if at any point in time they have another machine similar to this one that is also needs to be removed or liquidated, or for whatever reason need to be removed, or is no longer going to be used, then I will be more than happy to take one off their hands. Drive or no drive, I have no problem purchasing a solid state drive for that purpose. Watching this idiot who is doing everything he possibly can to try and get around me and is driving like a flippin' idiot. Anyway, so I informed her, you find another machine like this one, I'll go ahead and I'll take it off your hands. Drive or no drive, doesn't matter to me. So I waiting on that, which is nice. But, to let you guys know and let everyone else know that I do have a plan for this machine. So some years ago, Steam, which above here is one of the places that you can follow me at, created a version of Steam that can be installed as an operating system called SteamOS. The website is still available. The ISO file is still available. I have a copy of it ready to go. Now, what this is very simple. This drive, when on a bare bones computer with no operating system, it will install Linux, a bare bone version of Linux, not even Ubuntu, like straight base level Linux, with an embedded command line designed to start the Steam application, that full desktop application from Steam to on top of the Linux. And then in the future, through another command line, every time the PC is turned on from a dead off state, it'll automatically boot Linux, boot Steam, and sign the account in big picture mode. So this, if you ever used Steam before, in big picture mode, you have large icons and easy to see from a distance because it's meant to be used on TVs. And that's where I'm going to be using it. I'm going to connect it to a TV for the purpose of having SteamOS installed so I can stream, not install, but stream my Steam games from my big desktop, which is the one I've been using for my streaming purposes at home, but it has, the nice camera, the microphone, all that good stuff. That PC will run the game, but the actual data is going to be transferred or streamed through my network, which at this point is all hardwired, to that SteamOS, the stream box, connected to my PC, to my TV, and I'll be able to use my wireless Xbox One controller to play my Steam games over my network on my TV from my bed. Great idea, no? Now, I already have the necessary LAN cables to be able to connect it, so everything is hardwired on the network. No data drops, no latency, no lag, nothing. And it'll be within the same room. I literally moved my router from the living room to my room specifically, not just for this purpose, but for the purpose of having my big desktop also connected directly to the LAN, which is local area network for those of you that don't know. And it's specifically for that purpose. Is so I have no lag, no latency, no connection issues, constant streaming of whatever data I want at high speeds from one PC to another, even just on the internet. So we'll see if she comes back, lets me know there's another one of these machines, or I would not be opposed if she were to bring me one of those slimmer line machines, which physically are much smaller. Because again, for the purpose I plan on using it for, it does not need to be an overly powered machine. It just needs to be quick enough to run the SteamOS and have a LAN connection to my network. That's it. That's all it has to do, bare bones. Now, for those of you that watch and know what I'm talking about, you might be thinking to yourself, why wouldn't you use a Raspberry Pi? Well, the reason I wouldn't use a Raspberry Pi is because even though it would only be used as a streaming platform, SteamOS does not run well on the Raspberry Pi hardware. We're talking about, the processor, the embedded RAM, things of that nature. SteamOS does not play friendly with Raspberry Pi. That's actually the fault of Steam and not the developers of the Raspberry Pi. Not to, throw undue blame on any one particular party where it's unfounded. This part, it is founded. It is the fault of Steam, not the fault of the developers of the Raspberry Pi. However, a larger, fully functioning PC would have an Intel or AMD processor, which Steam does play very well with. They would also use standard DDR RAM, which again plays well with Steam, while on a Raspberry Pi that is not to be found. So what you have is a situation of just hardware incompatibility with the operating system. What the hell is going on? Traffic is backed up on this exit. Weird. Anyway, so yeah, if she just happens to bring about one of these machines, whether it's a ThinkCentre or one of the other slim lines that they're working with at this moment, I would be more than happy to take it off her hands. Again, for the purpose of installing SteamOS. Is it a possibility? Yes. Do I see it as a likely possibility? Not really, but beggars can't be choosers, so that's why I don't have my hopes up for it, but still, like they always say, hope for the best, but plan for the worst. Well, let's just say I have a plan just in case, either way. But yeah, so that's what I did earlier today. Get that computer set up for her, which again is in the back seat. And yeah. just nice to help people out, people that, that have been good to you. Um, you guys work well together. And it's always nice to help people out like that. And, she was fully willing to pay for services rendered, but I can't do that to her, especially with the fact that this particular job, I mean, I wouldn't say it was easy, but I would say it's easy for me because I know what I'm doing. It took minutes to put the drive in the tower, and then it was basically playing the waiting game while Windows installed and Office installed. I'll updated her Windows because it is an activated version of Windows. Fully updated. It's running super smooth, buttery smooth. So again, she doesn't have to worry about it. All she's got to do is plug it in, turn it on, boop, and she's got Windows running nice and clean. So yeah, there's that. And, it's just nice to help people out, The fact that she's going to repay my services, my good nature, and the fact that I'm not actually charging her money for it in food is always a plus too, because not for nothing. I mean, yeah, money is always tight, but when it comes to somebody like this who's just been that good with you, that good of a person with you, it wouldn't be right to charge them. At least in my mind, it wouldn't be right to charge her. So, the fact that she's willing to pay in food, I'm all for it. So yeah, that'll be something to look forward to later. And people cutting in front of me like I'm not even here. Come on, man. Let's go. So yeah, that was that. So yeah, if any of you out there need some help ever, I exist. I I'm always willing to help. And see where we go with that. I'm almost getting to my destination today at work, and we'll see what kind of day we're gonna have today. Because yesterday it was a disaster. It could not have been busier than it was last night. Like, it stayed consistently busy all the way into the evening. We're talking about, come on, dude. Where the hell are you going? Flipping idiot. Anyway, very busy night last night, all the way up to past 10 p.m. It it got to a point where I was like questioning people. Like, perfect example. By the time I left, which was 12:30 this morning, there was only two people that needed to be registered per the job, and both of these people, both young people, were there for anxiety. Now, I am not trying to make light of mental health or mental health issues. However, as someone who has suffered or continues, or in this case, continues to suffer from mental health issues, it is absolutely abusive to show up to an emergency room for anxiety at around midnight. Because, and I'll tell you that this is the reason, because there is nothing that an emergency room doctor can do for you as somebody suffering from anxiety. And the reason why is simple. They are not experts. They are not trained, or I wouldn't say trained. They are not equipped, at least at an emergency room level, to handle somebody suffering from mental health issues. The bare minimum they'll do is give you a physical once over, make sure there's nothing wrong with you physically, and then they'll recommend you go see a actual expert, like a psychiatrist, psychologist, or somebody who deals with mental health issues on a regular basis in a medical sense. Worst case scenario, you get Baker acted. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to get Baker acted. Green gown, having somebody to watch you for a period of time to make sure you don't do certain things to yourself, unaliving yourself. Yeah, that's not fun. Don't do that. If you have a physical emergency, life-threatening emergency, go to the emergency room. Other than that, don't. They're not equipped to help you. What you need is more specialized psychiatric help. Emergency room doctors cannot provide this. That's it. That's just how it's going to work. So, I have arrived. Obviously, you heard me park, took off the seatbelt. I am here. We're going to see what kind of day we have today. Hopefully a much better one than yesterday. And this is where we will cut off the stream. By all means, again, like, subscribe. Down below, name here, BHC_darkness30XX. That's this guy right here. Follow me across all the social medias, Facebook, Twitter. Catch me on Twitch, YouTube under the Black Hood Crew. Find me on TikTok, follow along. I post videos every so often on there. And for now, just try to have a good day, and I'll see you the next time. Have a good one.